So we've got the scrum over here.
You can start with Marco first.
Yeah.
Okay. Have you guys got Marco?
I'll watch it from above.
Okay. Right.
So initial setup, players in position, good.
Yep.
Then as he's calling, he's still got movement and making the next call. And in general, the first scrum failed, and probably because of that reason. So it's just he slows his calls down until he's got complete stability and
So you haven't
stillness.
seen a change in...
The next scrum was improved, but it didn't fail, but still was moving while making calls. Very dominant one-sided scrums.
Okay.
So he managed that quite well, in that there was no real infringement, so the ball came out of a scrum going backwards and played on.
So as a coach, what would be your recommendation to him?
Just to slow his calling down so that he's got complete stability before he makes his next call, to try and improve the outcome.
Okay. Yeah. Tony?
Are you talking about the same thing, or can I talk about
We're all on the same subject.
Yeah, no, look, the scrums was actually not too bad. There was one or two of them that was not quite stable, but we all had the same successful outcomes, besides the one that actually collapsed over there. But we had the same outcomes, even with one team dominant. We still had the same outcome, or successful outcome, I should say, of the scrums. A little bit of but he can actually work, something that he can work on.
Okay, so your recommendation to him?
Well, firstly, make sure that the scrums are stable when you go into the start of the scrum. You know, like just say bind. You know, like and then just make sure that you on that bind that you have a long bind, because that's probably where the wiggle comes in.
So do you think the slow, as you say, the slowdown of the calls?
Yeah, the slowdown.
Don't progress to the next call
until because as soon as you said bind, you can actually see like there's a little bit of movement, and that's of course. So when they sit, they're already in movement. You know, so that is probably where the first scrum fell down. Yeah.
Yeah, I only saw a couple of scrums. My observation would be crouch, bind, but just wait till he's steady before you call the set, because those halfbacks putting in really quickly as they do at this stage. So that's where they're talking from. So just make sure they're steady before you call set and the ball goes in. Simple.
I watched James, but you want to comment on him?
Oh, we can, if you're doing a scrum comment,
yeah.
We can do it against James.
Yeah, so very first scrum down over here, they set up the Otahu looseheads virtually standing up, whereas the other guy said the scrum's like this. He calls bind, goes in with the ball, and it just goes straight back to the scrum. Get up, doesn't say anything, sets it second time, and collapses on the far side from him again. And it wasn't as much of a read, but it was certainly not stable. So I just think if he's going to be making these calls, he doesn't seem to be looking at what's happening in the scrum. He's just standing, going through the motions, rather than actually enforcing the standards that he wants. So, first scrum, we should always, I always talk to the front rows anyway, first scrum. And certainly if it collapses, then we have a chat about what the problem is. We try and sort it out, and I'm looking everything binds, squares, stable, the works, whereas it's just all a bit too quick and just get on with it.
I'll carry on because what's quite a series. You've got 100% right. The varsity scrum is dominant and well drilled and put together, and the loose heads just going down, and James is going the motions, crouch, bind, set, and even when the scrums are going, the dominant one's going forward, if the ball is coming out, he's not controlling it, so he needs to take control of those scrums and make sure the players are listening to his commands, not just sort of going through the motions. He got one wrong over there when penalised Uni for, and it was again Otahu just placing it, and that's, he wouldn't be in that position if he'd been watching and concentrating.
So between the two and watching that issue, what would you do as a coach to try and the system to get it right?
Oh, to me is when the players are setting up, make sure when you see calls that they are in the right position and ready to go. It's not a go through the motions thing, and once you don't go to your next call until they're right in position, not just a guy just sort of standing up and you call crouch like that. So and then through all the other phases, make sure that the binds are right and they bind and you keep going through.
You guys watch the scrums as well?
No, we did a line out and tackle crowd.
Alright. Jono, as an observer, is there anything you saw?
With the guys over here, no, I agree, we were very similar. Interesting with the comments just with the scrum and the comments with stability. So I guess just a question, this is an open question here. When you have a chat with the referee and he says from his perspective the scrum was fine, well then how do we proceed on that conversation with him?
Hopefully it's on video.
Show him the video?
Yeah, absolutely. And
The interesting point for myself, sorry, was that
No, go for it.
this was an activity in checking for our observations. I think big tick, most of you guys pretty much saw the same stuff. It's then how do we get the learning? So what's the process? Like Leighton made some really pretty detailed comments as to what he saw, but what's the process you're going to go through with the referee? Are you just going to jump in there and tell him, or are you going to, my thoughts are, your thoughts would be, well, does he see it first? I mean, that might start with a conversation, okay, let's just talk about the scrums, how do you think it went? And then some more pointed questions, and then if he still doesn't see it, Leighton, then you might just have to hit him with it. Yeah. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
So did anyone see the tip tackle?
No.
No, sorry. Right, so tip tackle on his back?
On his back and the neck. Yep.
Right.
What
So
was the sanction?
immediately stopped it, pulled the captains out and the player, went through what happened, and you could see this yellow card. So this process is actually quite good
It's a good process.
for the yellow card. So it's how do we get that process from the yellow card into the scrums?
So it could be, for example, you're saying like he's followed a process, he's got a checklist he's going through.
He's got his checklist for foul play. So how do we get that into his scrums? Because
So when you're operating your feedback, the outcome you want is that between you and him, the referee, you've come to an agreement. Well, if this happens again, this is what I want.
Yeah.
So his foul play process was excellent. So he has got a process that works. But it's obvious that on the scrums,
There's not much of a
he
process.
hasn't got one.
So maybe you asked the question. Like,
Yeah.
thinking about
Have you got?
100%.
Yeah.
Well, the burning question too is the fact that if you've got a referee who's got the experience that James has got, and he's at this level, and he's still got this problem, why hasn't he been picked up before? And it comes back to the consistency that I'm talking about, that we actually need to be well aware of what we're observing.
Yeah, a little bit
So
from
we can
James,
actually-
he doesn't listen, as we know. He doesn't. But we've
Yeah,
been
but
told.
maybe is that because he's been told? Would he listen if he was part of the discussion, or am I being really
Unfortunately, in fact, I
super
have said
smart ass
it
there?
publicly is that James is the one who doesn't, if he goes away from what he gets told, he goes somewhere else.
You're right. It's hard for himself. Believes in himself. Okay.
All right.
So what second half are you going to sort of like? Looks like the scrum's been good. Or are we going to look at other?
Yeah. So who looked at tackle right?
James, definitely.
The scrum was quite unanimous. You thought there was that, and then this other one about anticipation, reading the game, sensing. So how would you put me under pressure? How would you run your review with James? What would you do?
Or we'll do your
Don't call it mine. No, but tell us how you think you might do it.
We'll start off with the how to go, how to feel, what did you think, what went well, what you'd like to change, and if that touched on some of the things that I'd seen, I'd dig into those in a bit more detail, but basically just a general discussion until you kind of got whatever I can out of him, and then try and bring in some of the points that I've
With the overall
seen.
aim, oh, we're filming this, I've got to be careful. But with the overall aim to get him to recognise and see the similar to you, and if he doesn't, then there's nothing wrong with, well, look, do you mind, this is what I noticed. But the difference is not all about what you noticed, wouldn't you agree? Right, just more about, well, hopefully he comes to it himself.
Yeah, unfortunately we're just talking about this very issue. Glenn said that he's actually sat down in the coaching process with Leo.
Yeah, and this was before he got Fricker. But Fricker's not coaching him anymore.
No.
So
There's a message.
Fricker is good. From and what he does, and his work with refs and the goal.
I suppose the other thing, just from my point, it's quite easy to jump into the negative swimming pool.
Oh,
but
yeah.
actually, there was a lot of tension in that game, and it had a tendency to a couple of fucking idiots on the sideline. It could have exploded. But I actually thought whether he wasn't reading it or his calmness, actually, that might have been a positive.
Yes.
Was it?
It didn't affect.
But I think overall I think him being a bit more assertive with both his whistle and his voice would
Might
help
have
his game.
alleviated
No, it would help a lot because he's very quiet. His scrum calls are barely audible 5 metres away.
I don't know if you've noticed that there was actually a listening to talkback attempts or something where he raced up 10 metres
Yes.
and they went to take the quick tap. And the boys then watched Rock in the same scenario.
He did it
With chalk and cheese.
Yeah, chalk and
So
cheese.
basically you had a guy rushing up.
So he got carried away in the moment as well. The referee did.
It's fair to say that.
Walk up very calmly, very message was given. He was all excited.
What are we up to next, gents?
Okay, so we're going to watch, we'll probably watch Thomas, and we'll watch him as a group, I think.
Where's Thomas rated, guys? If you don't mind me asking.
Thomas.
Not that I wanted any preconceived ideas about him. It's a top club game here, so he's